Hey, it's Dino, and I want to show you a little bit about conditions in Apigee proxies. So Apigee's got a condition syntax, and we can look at that. There's a reference page in the Apigee documentation that describes how these things work. It's basically three parts usually. There's a left-hand side, an operator, and a right-hand side. And this is how you can insert conditional logic into your API proxies or targets. So a policy will get executed only under certain conditions, or perhaps a set of policies, as with flows. And the condition is the thing that allows you to do that. So what I've done is produce an example that just kind of walks through a couple of things that you can do with conditions. Many of the examples in the documentation page show the MatchesPath operator, which has a shorthand, twiddle slash, to do things like matching on paths. And the right-hand side of that is a path glob, where the asterisk or star matches segment. However, the asterisk can match an empty trailing final segment, which is often not what you want. And there may be some other cases where you want to match on, for example, a segment that only includes decimal digits. There's a nifty additional operator, not a whole lot of examples on that, but it works very well, called JavaRegex, and the shorthand for that is just double twiddle, that allows you to be more precise in what you want to match. For example, you could use something like this to match the on a path segment that includes just an arbitrary segment. And that condition would match if and only if there's at least one character following the final slash in that slash item slash. Another thing you might want to do is be more strict about the set of characters, so you can match on things that aren't slash. So the dot in the regular expression will match on any character, but this little kind of hieroglyphics will say match on anything except slash, which is probably closer to what you want. Another example would be a character set that only includes the decimal digits, and that's how you express that in regular expressions. So you can use that and you get a little more precise. So what I've done is put together an example. It is available on GitHub. You can go and clone that. Just in your terminal, say git clone, paste in that that URL, and then let's see, we can see what we got there. Yep, so there's a README, which is that thing, and the API proxy. What I like to do is deploy from the command line. So often I'll use the import and deploy tool that's part of a separate GitHub repo. And I'll use that now just to show you how it works. My organization is there, and my environment, I'll choose test, and the source for the thing that I want to deploy is here. And what that's going to do is zip up this API proxy directory and import it into this organization and deploy it to that environment within the organization. So let's have a look while that's happening. It's going to take 10 seconds or so. While that's happening, let's just look at this. We really have just a single API proxy, and it's got a number of different flows, and they do different matches. So MatchesPath, there's an example of a glob path with one segment. This is a glob path with two segments. This is an example of a regular expression match, and you'll see I'm using this kind of base of Regex 1 and glob to distinguish these cases. Here's Regex 2 with a single path element, and then here I've got something a little more restrictive, which specifies paths, path elements that do not include slash. So that's what I explained a little bit earlier. We've got a couple of different examples of that, and maybe what I'll do is I'll add an example that shows just how to match on a decimal digit as well. Anyway, that should be all deployed at this point. So that's finished. That took about 10 seconds. You can see Really nice. And now I can go into my user interface. This is just Apigee. You can see I've deployed this new API proxy. Here it is in my environment. Go to the Develop tab, and I can see those same things that I was just showing you in the repo. And now we can turn on trace if we want, and we can start invoking this thing. So let's try, the first one might be, I think, glob, and with 2 elements, we might try that. That's going to be case 2. Glob with 1 element and a trailing slash will be case 1. Glob with 1 element and no trailing slash, that one didn't get matched because none of the conditional cases in that API proxy match this one. If I want to put multiple segments here, like more than 2, I can try that. That also does not match. If I try Regex 1, I can do that with 2 segments. I can do that with 1 segment and a trailing slash. I can do it with 3 segments. And that will also match, so we need to be careful. This is the case where what we're seeing is this dot plus is matching a substring that includes a slash. So that's probably not what we want. So let's try this Regex 2 case where we won't get a match because we've been more restrictive on that. So 3 segments won't match, 2 segments will match, which is what we want. 1 segment with a trailing slash will match a different case. 1 segment with no trailing slash won't match because we don't have a condition that matches that. So anyway, I hope this gives you an idea of how you can apply MatchesPath, which is the shorthand for that is twiddle slash, and JavaRegex, the shorthand for that is double twiddle. In your condition statements, specifically around Apigee proxies. Hope this helps. See you next time.